come on in, grab a seat, and if I could have Don Conway, Jen Foster, Jason P. Jordan, and Trevor Crane up here. Come on down and grab a seat. All right. This is our content creation strategies. One more time, Don Conway, Jen Foster, Jason Jordan, Trevor Crane. Come on down. Look at you. Sharp-dressed man. Let me adjust that. Oh, yeah, you'll be even more perfect. You look good. How you been, Trevor?
Excellent.
Good, you're looking great. I saw you in the back.
Yeah.
All right. Come on up, Don. It's good to see you.
Good to see you, Mike.
Yeah, I walked by yesterday. You, sir. Here. Thanks a lot. Where's Jen Foster? Get a little rear end in here. Here she is. Come on in. Take a seat. All right. I'm going to just get this thing going. All right, you ready? Shh. God, that always works. I can't believe it. So we're going to just begin here, and I'd love you guys just to go downstream. Start with Trevor. Why don't you introduce yourself and just tell us the name of the product or book that we're going to be using. Well, actually, let's talk about your books first. You guys are all authors, right? Not you yet? No. Next. All right. Well, yeah, let's just start out. Name your product or your book. Go ahead, Trevor.
So I actually interviewed Mike Koenig's, I think back in February, and since then I've published 4 best-selling books. Thank you very much. And one for myself, thank you. That book is called High Paying Clients. One with my wife, and that's Mind Over Money Management. Got some help from Jason P. Jordan over here on that one. We have one for my 8-year-old daughter. She'll tell you she wrote it when she was 7. It's called The 3 Ninja Kitties.
There.
Soon to have a sequel. We're doing anyway, I'll tell you about that later. Right. And then the 4th book is actually one that was inspired at the last Publish and Profit, and Paul Culligan had actually told a story about how he did a co-authored book, and I knew I wanted a publishing team. It's kind of how I do things, and so I recruited a few people, and we have another bestseller.
Congrats. Another one there. You, sir, Don?
Don Conway. I'm with disc.com, so we actually print the books that these gentlemen write,
yep.
As well as the other physical products.
Yeah, in fact, all the books, my books that are here were actually printed by disc.com, and they turn these things around I should even say, they turn stuff around fast. I mean, I got this thing done. I won't put you on the spot, Don. That's all right. But I mean, really, really, really fast. So that's what's important. So good. Jen?
Jen Foster. I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah, and I'm a 4-time bestselling author as well. And I have 2 of them up here. A co-author with Everett O'Keefe. Books to Bucks is one of the latest books. The new product we have, Melanie Johnson and I from Texas, are doing book writing fast pass product, and the book will be out the end of October.
Very nice. And I know I've seen Melanie in chat. Hi, Melanie, who's been watching. I've been giving our friends at home enough attention here. All right, last but not least, Jason.
Thanks. I'm Jason P. Jordan, and I am a 3-time #1 best-selling author. And I am the CEO and president of the Barna Media Group, co-founder of Europic Book Launch. And we basically help business owners, authors, speakers, trainers, and experts wrap a business around their book or a book around their business. And in the last 2 years, we published over 70 books on Amazon, testing different things. And in the last 8 months, we've had over 12 #1 bestsellers, and many of those international #1 bestsellers. So using really the system that Mike and Ed taught us. So thank you.
You're welcome. It's awesome. All right. So let's just go. We'll start with you, Jason, about strategies for creating a ton of content in a short period of time. I think the classic statement I get all the time is you can't write a good book quickly. And in my experience, it's not about writing a good book quickly. It's having a strategy and a system that allow you to just take the knowledge that's in your head that you've been reciting, replaying, and representing for 10 or 20 years most of the time. How do you suck that out and turn it into something that's meaningful? And it's my opinion that good books can be written very, very rapidly. But your point of view, what's the fastest way, some techniques you found?
So what I did was when Mike and Ed launched Publish and Profit, I had this book about 80% done, and I was freaking out like, how am I going to get the rest of the content? And so what I did was I reached out to members of the community who were experts in social media, and one of them actually sitting right next to me here. I was looking for an expert in video marketing and YouTube, and so I interviewed Jen Foster using Google Hangouts, and we did a live cast on that, and then we took that and transcribed it and got it put into the book. So it increased my book by about 50% and quickly by doing that. And so that's, what I took away from that was work with community members, find experts, interview them, get it transcribed, and you can build your content quickly.
Very nice. And Jen?
For me, it's Mike's system. If you don't know the 10 by 10 by 4, that's the fastest way to create content. If you don't know what that is, you come up with 10 frequently asked questions, 10 should ask questions, and the 4 is just get it out there a lot. Put it out there a lot every week, or that's the 4 or more.
We'll actually do the exercise today. I love to do it at every event, so we'll do that a little bit later on.
A tweak on that, Melanie and I have done a tweak on that, which we've done a lot, and that we teach at our book writing retreats that we have in Dominican Republic. And what we do is a 10 by 3 by 3, which is 10 of your questions, 3 stories that go along with each question, and 3 kind of like your purpose or proof or points that come from those 3 stories. So what's the point of the story? The end of the story or the point of the story. And that's how you create your book.
Very nice. Don?
Well, since we don't write books, in order to get a book printed quickly, we would recommend that if you have a downloadable book right now, it's very easy to turn that into a printed piece. So, all you really need is the files, and we can, get that done.
Okay. Yeah, and again, just to put this in context, what I was able to do, because it turned out that I finished my book last week, and I had my cover and a file, and there was no way CreateSpace was going to turn them around. That's historically how I did it. And I'm like, well, that's right. These guys do books too. So I got hold of Joe, and I'm like, Joe, I got to get some books made. And he goes, no problem. Done. So I got them the files, turned them around, and they were here on time. But moving forward, what was great is when you've got to turn something around like that, Disc has been an awesome partner. Everyone I know in the business has been using them for fulfillment, like when we've got goodie bags, backpacks, any kind of prizes and premiums that we need, or just when you need a partner to print your products quickly and just take them in any format. So very good. All right. What's your strategy for content creation?
I think the easiest one is that you decide that you're going to do it, and then you set a deadline. When I did that, and my first best-selling book that was mine only was I did it without having written one word. I pre-launched the book. I did that intentionally. I had other books that I could have launched, but I wanted to make sure I shared with my clients that you can actually get it done really quickly. So I picked a subject that I'm really good at and I knew inside and out. I pre-launched it, and then I had 90 days to get the book done. And I wrote it mostly in the last week before it was actually done, because I had it transcribed and all this stuff, but I just got it done. And I've seen it so many times. We did that with my daughter's book. We actually interviewed her into my phone, telling the story of the 3 ninja kitties. And it came out when the deadline came up. So,
very nice. So I'm going to ask another frame question. I'm going to kind of veer off the book side here and talk about originating content and creating high production value content, because I know all you guys have been doing some video. Do you have any tips, some resources for either outsource strategies or tools that you've been using? Like, where have you been finding your talent to rapidly create high production quality output content? And if you don't have a tip for that, that's fine, because I'm going to do a lead in for something else along that line. So if you've got any tips, I'm just looking for resources, either sites, strategies, where you've been getting some of that done. Jason?
So basically, when we work with clients, we outsource a lot of that work, right? We build a team to kind of handle that. And so I have an example here of outsourcing. This is a workbook that we did for a client where she presented it at the United Nations CSW, and she came to us with the manuscript basically done, but we had to find a formatter, we had to find a designer, and we needed it all done in 2 weeks. So went to Upwork.com, formerly Odesk, went there, found my designer. right? And then reached out to somebody in the community to do the formatting. And so we were able to turn that around and give her this really incredible manual she could present at the United Nations CSW. And people, told her, wow, that was great. And we did all in 2 weeks.
Wow. So Updesk for what?
Upwork.com.
sorry,
if you need
not Odesk,
outsourcing
yeah,
for
Upwork.
anything,
Yeah.
Upwork.com.
Yep.
Right? I build a lot of my team there. Fiverr's great if you just want to get some basic ideas for covers and you pick a few different designers. That's what we do.
Yep, and I'll expand on that a little bit. That's very often what I've done for years is I'll go to something like Fiverr and I'll hire 4, 6, 8, even 10 people to do the exact same project at the same time. And that way it might give me some ideas. And if I'm not happy with that, I can take some of the creative ideas and then I'll hire someone, for example, on 99 Designs to finish it. So it's a good way if you just, if you don't feel you're creative or you're stuck or you're trying to find some examples, super cheap, super fast to get some ideas quickly. So I like that a lot. How about you, Jen?
We use, for all of our book stuff, we use a Fiverr or 99 Design. I have also used elance.com and Odesk, which is now the Upwork. And then for video production and for good quality, you could say you could go to like the Craigslist, but really what I want to say is you want to use your community. So in my local community, I have a networking group that I go to once a month, and it's a high-level CEO top, and there's a couple of videographers that I've met and made friends with. So I always have 3 or 4 videographers I call them on my team, but really they all hold their own companies that's what they do. They're videographers. Because I'm a video marketer, I'm not a videographer. So I have them and they create the videos and they're high quality, custom, nice videos.
Great. How about you, Don? I know you guys aren't necessarily making it, but if you're working with some, you have any tips, suggestions, recommendations based on?
Yeah, I think from our perspective, if you're looking to again, on the physical product side, to get something out in the market quickly, you need to take a look at what you've already done. Again, the downloadable book, any videos that you've posted on YouTube, any audio programs that you may have that are downloadable, all of these things are quickly and easily turned into a physical product for you.
Got it. How about you?
I think the key thing is to get clear about what you want. So oftentimes people are, so first of all, just get really clear about what you want. So I needed someone to help me with video editing, but I needed to be really clear about that. And then you just ask. Now I'd use all the same resources. So I use Fiverr and I use Upwork and I use my community by getting clear about what I want and then reaching out and asking. And I think that's a core piece for me that, I saw Mike do it just recently on on the Publish and Profit community. He asked for something very specific, and I didn't even have time to respond because other people had already jumped on it to support him. So get really clear about what you want and then ask. And then if you have clarity, it's so simple to find the resources.
Yeah, I think what I've been teaching forever, the biggest downfall I've seen most newbies get into is they just don't know exactly what they want. They don't know how to ask for it. So like if I'm working on a cover design, for example, I'll create a Google Doc and I'll find 6, 8, 10, 12 covers that I like, that are like what I'm looking for. I'll put them all in the document and I'll make a description of why I like it and what's important. I send that out to designers saying, now make something like this for me. And if you give someone a frame first, you're a lot more likely to get something that you in fact like, and they know the reasons why. So we're going to move into a slightly different concept here about repurposing, reusing content. So, when we talk about the You Everywhere Now strategy of create once, publish everywhere in every medium possible, we often I like originating from spoken word first. I find it easier to teach, transcribe, repurpose. But do you have any specific stories about someone that you worked with where in all your cases, you guys have been working as service providers, actually writing, producing content or books with and for other people. But do you have a specific story about someone that you've either worked with, a success story about how you've either repurposed content or a unique way that you've done that, where it originated from one thing and it turned into something else?
So when I think of that, I have an example here of a client. He came to us wanting a book, And we actually ended up turning it into a workbook manual too. So we repurposed some of the content so that the reader that was actually at a workshop would move from reading the book and actually doing it live in a workbook, right? And so we took that content and he was stuck. So we hired a writer to work with it to extract the information and then to work with that to put it into the manual. And so that was a way that we were able to help him repurpose that information.
I love it. I'm going to do a plus variation of that, which is I originally learned this strategy, at least I noticed it first, I think from Alex Mendosian back on the teleseminar days. And what he would very expertly do, and I'd highly recommend anytime you're doing a webinar or webcast, if you can turn your webinar or webcast into a fill-in-the-blanks worksheet, that when people register, you give them the PDF. And then when they attend, they have to fill in the blanks. It's taking advantage of a concept called the Zeigarnik effect. And if you look that up, it's Z-E-I or Z-I-E, G-E-R-N-I-C-K or N-I-K. But the basic premise is the human brain hates unfinished business, right? So if you give someone an unfinished something, their curiosity's piqued, and they're like, I got to find out what this is. And of course, they'll stick around longer as well. So I love the idea of converting a book into a workbook because it's another thing you can sell. It's the next level up to turning something into a course. But again, it can be used purely for marketing and sales purposes as well by having a curiosity factor. And the truth is, I haven't been really good about doing that myself. I just don't think of it. And I'm like, I got to start doing that again. But anyway, Jen, yours.
Well, Melanie Johnson and I, we have the book writing retreats down in Dominican, like I said before, and so we've used this multiple times with the one event. So we're doing biannually, so we have another one in December, but in June we went to the event, we had the writers come, or the new authors, they weren't authors before. So the workbook that we created for them to walk through while we're there, we repurposed that and made that into a product that we're selling on a webinar, so that's one way we've done it. Then while we were there, of course, we recorded the girls who were there, they spoke their books, we video recorded them. So we transcribed those into their books. Of course, we had editors or ghostwriters turn that into a real good content book. And the success from that, one of the girls, Tanya Oria, she wrote the book Forgiveness Through Redemption. And can't remember the subtitle right now, but it has boosted her business so much. She's already got speaking gigs through the rest of the year. And she's been on like several radio shows in her local in Texas. So she's so excited, and her book actually isn't released till Monday. So we did the pre-release. Her book is finished. We uploaded it on the due date, and Monday it will come out for everyone to read. So it's so exciting for her, and it's just boosted her everything in her life right now. And so that content that we recorded next week, we'll start going out once a week, podcasts, and there'll be excerpts of the video that we took of her doing her book. So again, repurposing the video that we took of her writing the book is going to be the podcast. And it's just going to be little 10-minute excerpts of that, the key points or the parts that's going to help her book.
Great. Nice. You have anything to add to that one, Don?
I do a little. Actually, I was at an event similar to this a year or so ago. And in one of the networking events, part of that, I was talking to a gentleman who wanted to do some videos. He wanted to do some DVDs. But he said he didn't have time to write it, to script it, to prepare it, and all the rest of it. And I started asking him what he was currently doing. And he was retired from the security industry, but he was currently teaching in a junior college, and he was teaching a 12-week course. And I suggested to him that if he had someone come in and videotape his 12-week course, that perhaps that might turn into a nice DVD for him, which he did, and then edited down to 6 DVDs, and now he's got a 6 DVD set.
Very smart. I like it.
So the idea of repurposing content, I think I first got from Mike, and the first book that I planned for myself was actually a series of videos. I did one a week for 12 weeks, and I never finished that concept because when I interviewed Mike last February, I had the idea of what really held me back from repurposing that content in my book was that I didn't have a business strategy behind it. And I just, everything I design, I want to make sure I know how it monetizes. And because I know that if I can't figure out how to build the money bridge between my message and my market, then the message dies when I go to sleep, right? So what I got really excited about with the books that will be published this year is there's a business behind all of them strategically. The book, Your Epic Book Launch, that I dropped here on the floor, we started with the idea of what the course would be, of what we wanted to teach, that the course is all about building the strategic business behind it initially. So we started the book project with the end in mind. What are we going to sell? And the whole project, the core of this actually came from Jason. I was looking when I was at this, well, not this event, but the Publish and Profit event earlier this year. I wanted a team of people that would help me build the book and the business behind it. So I came here to meet people, and Jason introduced me to Rory Carruthers, and then I met Everett and a lot of other people that are now in our book. And I wanted to make sure that everything was repurposing. And I interviewed Jason before we even got to that event about his strategy about book marketing and the launching of that book. And in this book, Your Epic Book Launch, it's all about repurposing the same content. You have your pre-launch, your e-launch, your free book launch, your podcast launch, your course that you eventually sell with it, the hardback. It's all thought through that. And I have a client right now, and he asked me to help him with his book. He's a good friend of mine. And we started with his course. And then he repurposed his course that he teaches every weekend. We transcribed it. Now we're outlining that, and we're going to create his audiobook and everything else from it. So it's about beginning with the end in mind and totally loving this whole concept and just trusting that it's okay. It's required that you need to get in all these different formats so people can consume it.
Very good. Do you follow all that? It's big ideas there. It was really good. So let's just talk about what it takes, the number one strategy you've found either for yourself or for the clients that you've been working with that positions them as an instantly recognizable expert, celebrity, authority, thought leader in their business. You know, I kind of went through what I called the superfecta today. It seems to be the standard thing. But if you have a specific story, something that you've seen where someone had that one thing and it led them to the next avenue. So again, I know we've been talking about Webcast, we've been talking about books, we're talking about podcasts, having a product, but do you have a specific story example that you can think of right now that's been effective? And then the way I'll approach you, Don, is you've been working with a lot of people and you've seen them maybe start from here and then go out of here, and all your clients, if you've got a specific client story that you've seen, you know, some strategy technique that you've seen that just like instantly makes them pop. So you want to start, Jason?
So this book here is by a client of mine, Glenn Bill, and he came to me. He's a very successful real estate mogul in Indianapolis, but he really wanted to become a top-level speaker, right? And so when he came to me through a referral, we were talking about his book, and he said, "Can you guarantee an international #1 bestseller?" And my answer was yes, because we have a system, right? And we can do that. And he said, "I want a hardback." And I thought to myself, well, I don't know how to do that. And I said, yeah, we can do that, right? And I knew I would just figure it out. And so what has happened for him is amazing. Since the launch of this book, he closed deals where Wells Fargo brought him in to be a keynote speaker. He went to a Les Brown event where he was talking with Les Brown, and Les Brown said, "You need to get on the national stage," and there were several people in that audience. And then he has actually come back to me and said, "Hey, let's do book deals together." And I've already got my next book and my next workbook. And it's exploding his speaking career, and that's really what he wants to do.
Yeah. Very good. Jen?
I have a client, Mitch Nelson, who wrote the book Mindset to Millionaire. A few of you bought that, so thank you for helping it get #1 bestseller. And he's in real estate again. And he was so excited with his book launch and with it becoming bestseller, and it just recently became available to read online, and he's had such an overwhelming response from people about his book because he kind of kept it a secret that he was writing it. And he came to me and he said, "Okay, I was really excited." And we did a Google Hangout to record his book. So he was so excited though. He said, I really love the process. I'm ready to write the second book. And he said, except for this time, I'm going to record it and write it myself, so I don't need you to interview me. I thought that was great. Then he's just excited to write his next book because this first book has launched him so high in his niche.
Yeah. Nothing better than another book, and another book, and another book. Don, what have you noticed? What have you seen?
Well, I'm working with a doctor who went to an event, and the person who was giving the event happened to mention our company's name. He contacted us and said that he wanted to do a manual with a CD, which he did do. It was a black and white interior, a black and white cover, which is sort of unusual, and the disc was all included with that. He ordered 100 copies. It took him a while to get those sold. He came back a few months later and did a single DVD, and we put that together for him. He came back 2 months after that with 3 more DVDs, came back 2 months after that with a 2 CD set, and he is now touring PBS stations, and this year he's done 50,000 sets of those 3 products. So he's having a real good time.
I know?
Pardon?
That's a doctor I know. Yeah, I know who he is. Okay, that's a great story. Yeah, congratulations. That's a good one. All right, you sir, what do you got?
Okay, I put a lot of thought into this a few years ago, and it was just modeling people that are already tremendously successful. So author of, fill in the blank, creator of, fill in the blank, host of I now have the Greatness Quest TV show. That type of positioning right there is basically what I do with all of my clients. Just what is that? And at the inception of the idea, so one of our clients actually had the idea of a book, and so we said, okay, well, who do you want to align yourself with? And so she said who she wanted to interview. So she started interviewing people for her forthcoming book. So write that down, forthcoming book. Because you have the idea, it immediately positions you as someone who's writing it, and then you get all these people that'll help support you getting it done. Just starting with that, and when we launched her book, and she booked her first speaking gig, it was earlier this year. In the 2 months following that, she billed over $80,000 worth of consulting clients from her first speaking gig when she got her first book done. So it was the strategy first of she was the forthcoming author of, got the speaking gig, went and delivered it with the book, got $80,000 worth of new consulting clients from it.
Nice. Very good story. So here's my last question for you. This is a rapid one. It's not one that I had planned or scripted. So I'm going to ask it first, give you a couple moments to think about it. I'd like to know what your favorite time-saving or efficiency software, app, website is that you're using right now. It doesn't matter if it's for project management, content creation, content management, editing, tweaking. It could be outsourcing. I'd like to know what you're using that's consistently saving you time, making you some extra money, and giving you some big levers or leverage.
I would say for me, it's a product that you introduced me to years ago called ScreenFlow.
Yeah.
And being able to communicate to my contractors exactly what I want, and then immediately uploading it to YouTube and sharing it with them.
Okay.
Also recording calls with clients and things like that, and then being able to give them the recording as a value bonus at the end.
Yep.
That, to me, is my #1 tool,
Yep.
is ScreenFlow.
That's
You
great.
got to get a Mac.
Yeah. ScreenFlow.
ScreenFlow.
Yeah, on the Mac. On the PC, there's Camtasia. Otherwise, there's a little freebie called Jing. Not as fancy. ScreenFlow gives you, it's literally a video editor, really easy to use. That's a good one. I like that. Jen, what do you got that's really helping you out right now?
I use Google Drive every day. If you don't know what it is, get on it. My kids use it in school every day. Google Drive, and even to create PowerPoints, everything. You can share it, edit it. It's great, especially if you have a business partner, because they can work on it. I'm in Utah, Melanie's in Texas, and we work together every day. The other one we use is Google Hangouts all the time, or YouTube Live when we're recording it, Google Hangouts when we're not recording it, all the time. So for client calls, everything, we're using that all the time. And then a couple other ones. I use iMovie a lot. And my favorite one for video is Animoto.com. It's a great one for a quick, fast slideshow infomercial, quick. They actually have a new beta that's coming out that's really good for real commercials, not just slideshow.
Very good. Animoto. Don, you got any goodies?
Okay, well, again, we're a little bit different than the rest, but Infusionsoft is a company that we use, and quite a few of you may be familiar with it, particularly for contact information. And it also works as a shopping cart service and things of that because of the fulfillment aspect of what we do.
Very nice. Trevor?
There's so many tools, it's just crazy. So
Yeah,
to
but
pick
at
one
least
is a challenge.
All right. Give me 2, 3, fast.
So the one that I highly recommend is called Toggl, Toggl, and it's about managing your time. And the picture of that, do that, just give yourself a 30-day challenge to track where you spend your time. It's a free you can put it on your phone, you can put it on your computer. Looking at in retrospect changes everything. You're like, what the hell am I doing with my time? I have my staff do the same thing, track it on there. I can see it instantly. It's phenomenal. That's my one.
Good. Love it. All right, let's give them a big hand. And what we're going to do right now, we're going to cut to a short little message from disc.com. When we come back, we're doing the Nerdgasm demonstration of the new tech TriCaster. So we're going to nerd out a little bit here, but I promise it's going to be a blast. So let's show that video. Give them another quick hand, and we're going to get